Welcome guys. In the last video we succeeded in designing our login and our registration form. Right here, our login and our registration form. And what we're going to be doing in this video is we are going to be writing basically the registration, the whole registration process. And before we do that, we are going to need a couple of Cordova plugins. And I already have some of the actually kind of opened the Ionic official documentation and then the Cordova plugins that we're going to be using. And the first is going to be this file chooser. So I'm just going to come here and copy this. Just write a new tab and paste that in here. Alright, so we're going to be needing the file chooser. The next one we're also going to need is we're going to also need this base64. It's used to encode base64 of any file. It uses JS code for iOS, but in case of Android, native code. Yep. So we're going to also need this plugin too. And so let me just copy this. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just copy this, come back here and paste this in here. And please take note, don't just install just the Cordova plugin, install the native wrapper too, because it's native wrapper that we're going to be calling for both the file chooser and the base64 image converter. This plugin is used to encode base64 of any file. Yes. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just pause this video and wait till our Cordova plugins are done downloading. And something I forgot to do the last time I said we should install, which I paused the video, was to install the native wrapper for the camera, which is the Angular native wrapper for the Cordova camera plugin. And right here you can see we already have that installed. So the next thing we want to do right now is we'll need a couple of services. So I'm going to say ionic g service, right? And we want everything to be inside the services folder. So we're going to say services slash let's call this home. Let's call this HTTP service, and let's say service is not a known feature. Oh, sorry, ionic j services slash HTTP service. Sorry. Alright, now that should generate our service for us in a services folder. And you can see it says services generated. And let's just go right into our source and collapse that. And we should have our services somewhere, not within users, not within home app. Our services should be oh yes, alright. So now here's our HTTP service, but I kind of don't like it this way. So what I'm going to do is, let's do that again, but this time around let's place it inside the folder called this HTTP slash HTTP service, and we're going to get rid of this. Alright, we're going to get rid of this one at the outer level. So let's just delete this, move to recycle bin, and delete this as well as move to recycle bin. So right here we have our HTTP service. So inside of our HTTP service, we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, we wouldn't need to start configuring any proxy. So all we just basically need to do is declare our service, declare our URL, the URL, or basically our API's URL. So for us to do that, first of all, we'll have to create a variable here, and we're going to call this variable, it's going to be a public variable of URL, and this is going to be a string type, and we are going to access. So first of all, let's just get back to our API and then run ionic serve. Oh, sorry, not ionic serve. This is going to be PHP artisan serve. This is for laravel, and that should be in port 8000. I usually forget all these ports, honestly. Okay, port 8000. So now that's in port 8000. So we're going to say localhost, not HTTPS but HTTP, localhost port 8000. Alright, and slash API. So that is going to be our public URL, and we're going to declare a couple of variables here. So we're going to have the first one. We're going to call this added link. An added link would be of type, it's going to be a string. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to have is another one that is going to be called data, and data is also going to be of type any. And then we'll have post response, and post response too will be of type any. And then we have header. Header will also be of type any. Okay, now having done that, we would need one import, which is HTTP client. So we're going to import HTTP, and this is going to come from Angular Commons, because the most recent version of Angular right now recommends you use Angular Commons, if I am correct. So Angular Common and HTTP, and yep, that's where we are going to get that from. And we're going to use HTTP client, and we're also going to need HTTP headers. So HTTP client and HTTP headers. Okay, and we're going to need to do some dependency injection here for our HTTP client. So you're going to say public HTTP, and that's going to be HTTP client. And now once that is set in our constructor, the first function we want to write is a function called set headers. Alright, and this set headers is going to take a token. Okay, so so now this set headers is actually going to take a token. So we're going to say let header be equal to new HTTP header. HTTP headers. So what we can now say is, if the token, we are always expecting a token, but if the token is null, we want to make the header to be equal to header, which is the HTTP header dot set, and we're going to just set content type to be application/JSON, application/JSON, and else we're going to set the header to be, say, header dot set, and we are going to set authorization, and we want to pass the token. Okay, so basically what we are saying here is this: we are creating a new instance of the HTTP headers, and if there's no token passed to our header, we just want to set the content type to the application/JSON. But if we actually pass a token, then we want to set authorization to be equal to that token. Of course, we are using GWT, and right now you may not understand this until we start making use of this. So now that function, which is our set headers function, doesn't just end here, because after setting these headers, we want to return something, and we're going to return the header. So basically this function will set this header, and this particular function will be returning with the header. And then the next we want to do is create a function called post data, which is going to be handling our post request to our API. And this is going to take 3 parameters. The first is the item, the next is the added URL, and then the last is going to be the token. And we're going to be using this in TypeScript, which simply says this is actually an optional variable. It's more like doing this in JavaScript, and you say this is equal to no. Alright, so that means that this is optional, and it's actually of type any. So this is going to return this dot HTTP, alright, dot post, and the HTTP post function takes a couple of parameters. The first is our URL, the second is our body, and then the third is our options, and our options also carries things like the headers. So for our URL, we're going to say this the URL, which is our API route, our API absolute route kind of. Then we're going to add added URL. Oh, sorry, that's a mistake. We want to concatenate to the URL, the added URL. So basically, what this will look like is, let's say maybe the user provided an added URL of /login, and what it's going to do is going to say HTTP localhost / port 8000 / API / login. Alright, so you get that now. So now, having added the URL, the next thing we are going to add is the item or the data. So let's just call this, we just called it item, so let's let it be item, which is actually the data we are going to be passing. And then the last is our headers, which is going to be an object, and that object is going to be headers, and that is going to take this dot set headers, and this is going to take token, And you also remember that this token is also optional. So if we don't pass any token to this header, our headers will just return blank. It will just basically return content type application / JSON. Okay. And now next up, we want to do for get data. So this is going to handle all get requests. So this is going to be get data. And our get data is going to pass just 2 parameters, which is added URL. The next is going to be our token. Our token is going to be optional too. It's going to be of type any. And we're going to return this http.get. Alright, this is http.get, and we're going to say this .url concatenating added URL. And we are going to pass the last parameter, which is the header. So the header is going to say headers, and it's going to take an object of this set headers. Sorry, this set headers, which is a function, and we're passing token right inside of it. And I'm getting an error. Why is there an error? Okay, sorry, we don't need that. So now, and what is this for? Let's get this off. So we have post data, get data, and the next is going to be put data, which is for update, and then the last is going to be delete data, which is for delete. So even though we're not going to use them, but you know, for this particular tutorial, but it's actually good to add them just in case if you want to use this template to maybe build applications that will require update and delete. So added URL, token of any for put data, but we also need an item, and so we have to add the item first here, just like our post data. And we're going to return this http this is actually put, so put, and for put we're going to say this URL it's going to concatenate our added URL. And not just that, it's going to concatenate our added URL. We are also going to pass the next parameter, which is the item, and then the last is going to be our headers, and our headers will be mapped to say this set headers, and this set headers is going to take our token, and the last is going to be our delete data. And yep, our delete data will have added URL, just added URL as well as the token. And right here, it's going to be of type any. And now we are going to return this http.delete, boy oh boy. And now the delete is going to be this URL. We're going to add added URL and the headers, which is going to be this set headers, and it's going to take the token. And now we save that, and what's the sound is? Save that, get to our browser, and right, so everything works just fine. We now have to add 2 things: the HTTP client module and our HTTP service to our app module.ts. So now let's get down to our app module.ts, and we're going to import 2 things. The first is going to be our HTTP client module, and this is going to come from Angular Commons, oh sorry, not this, from Angular Common and HTTP, and we want to import HTTP client module, and want to add that here to our client module, HTTP client module. And then we want to import our HTTP service, and this is going to come from source app services HTTP service, and we are going to call our HTTP service. Oh boy, well, we're going to just leave it that way. I'm going to add that to our providers, HTTP service. And after that, we just save this, and next up is we are going to need toast service and authentication service. Basically, the toast service is just going to make it a lot easier to display toast messages, and also we might need an alert service just to display basic alert. Yep, we might need an alert service just to display basic alert. So we're going to go ionic G service I'm not going to call this HTTP service because it kind of appends that. So let's just call this toast. Let's call this toast slash toast slash toast. And that is going to create our toast service for us. And the next step after our toast service is we are going to create authentication slash authentication. So we're going to create an authentication service too. And it's also going to generate our authentication service for us too. So now we just head straight up to our toast service. Our toast service.ts. Alright, in our toast service, we want to import from at Ionic Angular, basically, and we want to import the toast. Alright, so toast controller, and we're going to inject that here. So say private or no public toast will be of type toast controller. And now with that being done, we want to create two functions. The first is going to be an async of present toast with options. Present toast with options. And for present toast with options, we want to pass one parameter. So let me just bring this down a bit. Here called message. And we're also going to have another function which is called present fade toast. Present fade toast. And it's going to have a message and then a time parameter. So let's just go straight to our present toast with options function. And I'm going to use that my plugin iToast. And it's just going to generate that for us. But I actually want everybody, let me see if I can get that plugin, because I've been talking about this plugin, using this plugin, and some of you may be struck. So let's do Ionic 4 snippet. Ionic 4, and here this is the plugin. 5.3 Ionic 4 snippet is a wonderful plugin. I just love it. It's awesome for Ionic 4. Like, it's awesome. It's super duper awesome. Like, it's freaking awesome. Alright, so our toast service, let's just get rid of this. And we want, okay, so const toast, wait, this is toast controller. We did not call this toast controller, we called this toast. Oh, anyway, let's just call it toast controller then. Toast controller, and now that error goes. And since we are just going to be creating a toast controller with options, basically, the only option we're going to be giving this user to set is going to be the message. Okay? And we're going to show the user a close button. So until the user clicks on that close button, our toast does not vanish. So our message, why the other one, this second toast is going to vanish, because I found that there are times when you show a toast that you want the toast to be present until the user interacts with it, and the time you show a toast and you automatically want the toast to disappear. So our message here would be our message. Okay, and our show close button should be set to false. No, true. What am I thinking? Boy, true. And the position should be optional, so we'll call this set position. So basically you can set whether you want it to be at the top or at the bottom. So let's just do that here, position, and change that to position. And basically you can just say top, or you can set it to bottom like this. Okay, and after the position, the last one we want to set is whether it should be animated or not. Of course we want it to be animated, so we're going to set that to true, and that should be that for just about that for our toast with options. Now our toast with present fade toast is going to be I toast to get this, and just get rid of this. And we also need to get rid of one of these, so get rid of this. And here we are going to pass a couple of parameters. First of all, of course, the message, and we're going to leave the duration because we want it to expire after a certain period of time, and we're going to make it dynamic so that we can set it when we are making use of it to time. And we're also going to set the position to position. So, but the difference between this one and the first one is that we are not going to give the user an option to close it. So it expires at a certain period of time when we feel like it should expire. And animated should be, of course, true. Okay, animated is set to true. And now we save that, and then we just move over to our authentication service. And for authentication service, we are only going to just add one thing for now. So we're going to import our HTTP service here. Import from source app services HTTP and HTTP service. And we're going to import a HTTP service here. Oh boy, HTTP service. And we are going to inject that here and say public HTTP, and that should mean our HTTP service. And we're going to have a function here called register, and we're also going to have another one here called login. And now register and login, we're going to pass the parameter. So yeah, we're going to call this register data, and here we're going to call this login data, and we're going to say this .http dot. Now for registration, we're going to use post data, and our post data takes three parameters. The first is the item, which is register data. The second is actually the added URL, and our added URL is /user/register, which is actually a registration login. And the last is our token, which is optional, which for now, as the user is registering, he has no token, so we're not going to pass any token for the user. And for our login, we are going to do the same. So this .http, should have copied and pasted that, dot post data, and login data, and we have /user/login. Okay, so with that being said, we will have to go and add up the services in our app.module.ts. So let's go to our app.module.ts, and now let's add up the services. So the first up is we're going to import source app services authentication service, and this is going to come from authentication service. And then secondly, we are going to import from source app services and toast service. All right, toast service, and we are going to add that here to our providers authentication service and toast service. Okay, and now the next thing we are going to do is to get the face API.js library. And basically the face API.js is what is going to help us to do our face recognition, as well as our face recognition, and was it one face recognition and face detection? Yeah, face detection. So what we're going to do now is we are going to get face API.js. So let's just go to github.com/ dude who hacks, something like that, dude who hacks, or something like that. Let's see, page not found. All right, let's just do face API.js from GitHub. Yep, face API.js, here we have it. So what we want to do now is we are going to go to the master branch. Yep, master, and I want to clone or download. So download zip, and now that should download everything for us. Okay, so now while waiting for face API.js to finish downloading, I just remember that we said we need to also install alert service. Sorry, not install. Oh my god, we need to also create one more service, which we are going to call alert service, and this is just going to help us for basic alerts. All right, alert/alert, and that should scaffold that for us. And once now the scaffolded that, now let's go to alert service. And our alert service is pretty simple and straightforward. We are going to import alert controller from at Angular slash, oh sorry, Ionic Angular, not Angular, Ionic Angular, and I'm gonna call this alert controller. And this is going to be just one function. So alert, not you, no, alert, oh my god, I think you should, yep, yes, this is what I was looking for. Alert controller, and that automatically just passes that to our constructor. Isn't that cool? So we can just create one function here, and we're going to call this present alert, and this is going to take the header, the subheader, and the last one is going to be the message. And we're going to just say alert, no, not you. Oh my god, alert, oh my god, I'm actually forgetting these things. Alert, yes, alert, not yes, is it? Alright, so now let's just get rid of this and get rid of this. So we are going to async here, and this is our alert. So for our header, we'll pass header, subtitle or subheader, we'll pass subheader, and our message, we are going to pass message, and our button will remain as okay. We could also still change this button to make it maybe whatever text we want, but we're going to let that be. So now our faceapi.js is done downloading. So what I'm going to do now is click on open, and let's just get back here. Oh sorry, this is actually our API. Let's get back here, and let's go back to our WinRAR, and our faceapi.js is open. So let's extract this, get to our Windows C, and now we want to go to documents, okay, users, then documents, okay, 23470, and documents, now Ionic. Alright, so let's extract that inside this Ionic folder, and once it's done extracting it, we can close this now, and we're going to go straight up into that folder. So just go back up, and oh my god, it actually extracted it here, like so. What I want to do is, where is what we asked you to extract, boy? Extracted everything here. Oh boy, we've got a little work to do. So place this inside the folder, build, source, test app, weights, and the models are inside the weights. Ah boy, oh boy, close that. Alright, so we are going to kind of just cut all this off. So let's just cut this, Control Shift N, we need a new folder. I'm going to call this faceapi, and just paste that in here. And you can also fork this to your repo, like I did, to your GitHub repo, like I did. I forked this to my own repo. Alright, now we will need, in the distribution file, we are going to need this faceapi.min.js. So let's just copy this now, go up one level, go up to the second level, get back in here, go into our source and into our assets, and we are going to create, should we do that in the assets or in the app? Nope, let's do that in the assets. So inside of our assets, we're going to create a new folder here and call this JS. and we're going to paste that right inside of here. Okay, so having done that, we can now add that to our index.html. Okay, so now right below our approach, we're going to add the script here. Script, and the source is going to be assets, and we actually JS and face API into JS. Why did it not get that first? And now we can save that, and that means that we have added our face API to JS. So the next thing we can now do is we would create, okay, no, let's just go back to our home, no, register, which is where we will start from, because we're going to write the register functionality first before the login. So register, our register TypeScript file, and just draw this down. We're going to declare it globally in our application, so we are going to use the declare var and face API. So this way it becomes global in the whole of our application. And next up, the next thing we want to do is our models. I think what we can do here is we are going to actually host these models, not here. So let's go to our drive C, let's go into exam. So we're going to create a new folder here, and want to call this folder face API models. And now that we have this, we'll go back to our C drive, go into docu, go straight up into users, and now go into this and go into documents, exactly where our face API is within Ionic, and we want to copy all the weights. So these are all the models, so we just copy all the models, and we just return back to here in our htdocs folder in our face API models, and we paste that in here. Okay, and I changed the port for my XAMPP to localhost, so whatever is a local server basically, but mine is on port 8080. So for some of you it could be localhost. Yes, so that's my port. So what I'm going to do here now is I am going to say const model URL. Basically, according to the official documentation, it says all your models must be within a single folder. So otherwise it's going to give you a lot of issues. So that's why I placed everything in a single folder. So we're going to say this is coming from http://localhost, and this is port 8080 slash what do we call the name of the file? Face. We called it face underscore API underscore models. So face underscore API underscore models. Okay, so that is that for our model URL. So next up is we are now going straight up into some really interesting things, which is going to be our login functionality. But before we do that, we also need to import all the Cordova plugins which we just added into this project. And that will mean we'll have to go into app.module.ts. So first up we're going to import is the camera. And this is going to come from Ionic native, Ionic slash, sorry, not Ionic slash, Ionic native, yes, then slash camera slash ngx. And we are having an error. So single string, and we are going to just, this is our camera. And the next thing we also want to import is going to be our Ionic storage module at Ionic slash storage, and this is going to come from, this is going to be Ionic storage. Okay, so we have not installed our Ionic storage module, and that's why it's showing us this. So let's just quickly get in here and install our Ionic storage. I thought I did that in the last video. And because we are going to need ionic storage module. So I'm sure we have that already. So let's just copy this and get this high up a bit. And we're going to say yarn add ionic storage dash save, just to be sure this time around. So while we're waiting for ionic storage module to be installed, we are going to import a couple of other things. So we are going to import the file chooser. So at ionic native slash, and this is taking a bit of time. So we need file chooser slash ngx. Alright, so ionic native wrapper is done installing. Ionic native cordova, ionic native cordova wrapper is done installing. So slash ngx, and maybe I didn't spell it correctly. Let's just get rid of this. It's ionic storage module. Yes, ionic storage module. And this is going to be file chooser. And we're also going to import the base64 converter. So add ionic native base64 to gallery. Yes, that's what it is. And we are going to base64 to gallery. Alright, so for our ionic storage, we need this to bootstrap our application. So .for root. Okay, and now for the rest of them, we're going to add them here in our providers, which is camera. We need our camera, we need file chooser, and we'll need our base64 to gallery. And why is that showing as an error? It says it's not assignable to type provider type. Base64 gallery original is missing the following properties from factory. Okay, so let's see, not base64 to gallery. Let's see, base64 to gallery original. That's what we actually needed to add here. So let's get rid of this base64 to gallery original. And yep, now we save that, and that is perfect.